So yeah, so I just kind of put together some like FAQs that I've like been hearing. I can't really read it, but yeah, so like, you know, you guys can like throw some questions out there. This is just kind of like what I put together. How do I get started? What platforms are out there? Which ones do I use? What's best for what my skill set are? My skill set doesn't translate to freelance work. I don't even know blank that well. How do I find new business? How can I sell myself? How can I estimate the amount of time for each project? What sort of rates do I charge? Can I take work off platform, and is there a risk to doing so? When will I get paid? How much does Upwork or Fiverr take? So I put together some steps to take. So this is kind of just like mapping it out. So choosing your platform would be step number one. There's a bunch of platforms. I mentioned, Mike, to you before, TopTool is one that you might want to look into. Upwork, Fiverr, LinkedIn Profinder, which ironically I'm still not accepted to. Number two is building your profile. So just similar to any social profile, really similar to your LinkedIn, honestly. Just creating a really catchy and engaging tagline, a summary. Listing your skills, any tests that you might want to take, any certifications that might be helpful. Like for Lillian, for you probably have a lot of different, although it's more like accounting, but like I'm going to use this as an example anyway, like CPA or some of those like more like technical, like hard skills. Yeah, Series A, Series B, etc. Past employment and education, so just the typical stuff that you would put on your profile.
Question, is there any benefits or disadvantages to each platform?
Yes, I'll get into that on the next slide.
Okay.
So defining your niche, this one's probably most important. A lot of freelancers, at least what I see is a lot of them, they just like go on, do the profile on Upwork, right? And they say, I'm a digital marketer. Well, what does that mean? Like digital marketing can mean so many different things. What I say is define your niche. Kind of what you were talking about before, Mike, is picking a really small subset at first, at least. So starting really, really small into a really specific subset that people are really looking for and people really need an expert in. And really just starting with that. So really surrounding your profile around that. So like, again, I'm going to use Lillian's example. Like, let's say, like, this is probably a really poor example, but Series A, like Lillian is an expert at Series A. She knows everything about it, like the back of her hand. She's the top Series A person on Upwork.
Sounds awesome.
Right? Yeah, great. I just like knighted you essentially.
Yeah.
So because you're so knowledgeable in Series A, and you have done the research and you find that a lot of clients need Series A, or maybe it's not a lot, maybe it's only 2 or 3 per week.
Sure.
That's fine. Your odds of getting that job are way better than someone who just puts finance expert, right? Or accounting expert.
Yeah.
So really doing the research to define that niche. My niche in particular was LinkedIn, since I used to work there. So I immediately had an upper hand over anyone who said they knew LinkedIn marketing. So that was a really good niche and skill set to have. I would say if you're finding it difficult to find like a hard skill or a technical skill that you have, just really take some time to think about like past jobs or past experiences that you've had, and really think about what sort of programs you use, what sort of teams you worked with, really just like dissecting all of that information and then using that information. Any questions? I would say this is like probably the most important step to starting off.
Sorry, what exactly are you selling?
What am I selling?
Yes.
As my services. So I mainly handle LinkedIn marketing, but I also handle a lot of B2B clients, so a lot of business to business. So a lot of like lead generation campaigns and social media marketing.
How do they measure it was successful, your services?
So it's
Delivery.
yeah, it's delivery based. It's also it depends on the client. So with the motivational speaker, like, is he booking leads? Is he booking events that he can speak at? So that's his success measure. So before I work with a client, I always determine one, what are your goals? Two, do you have any measurable and actionable goals? Like for advertising, I'm sure you've heard of like click-through rate, right? So we'll use that as an example. Click-through rate benchmarks are 0.35%. I just know that because I'm an advertising nerd and I've been in that for a while, as Dom knows, right? So like, I'll work with the client to determine like, okay, these are the benchmarks. This is your click-through rate benchmark. This is where you're at currently. Let's try to get here. This is what you want to strive towards because this will help drive purchase intent for your product, for your service. So trying to work with the client to determine what the benchmarks are.
Yeah, that's crucial for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll look different for everyone, right? So, for, let's say, like you, for example, right? You're skilled in agile, project management, software systems, right? So what does success look for your client potentially for freelance? I don't know that world, so I can't say, but totally different than my world. So anyway.
One question I have for like, I know you're about to get into platforms, but like starting out, do you think you would go to like as many platforms as possible, or like, I mean, you can look into each one to like starting out and not having. I mean, my LinkedIn is old as hell. I don't even think agile is one of my skills on there.
Right.
But like,
I'll endorse.
do you say? Yeah, thank you.
We'll all endorse each other after this. That's one of the.
So like, LinkedIn is obviously going to be one, and then do you try to just pick at least starting out like one or two that fit with like more of what you're looking to do, or do you have one on, are you trying to get on all of these platforms, and do you suggest people at least try to get on every platform?
Yeah.
Or like, is it okay to kind of
mix and match? Yeah, no, that's a great question. So me personally, I was only on Upwork until like 2 months ago. And as of now, I actually only have Upwork and Fiverr as my two platforms.
and then ProFinder once.
And then ProFinder once LinkedIn actually is not holding a grudge on me. So I would probably suggest just starting with one because it does take a lot of time to like build it. Like you could kind of just throw stuff in there, but if you throw stuff in there without really like spending a lot of like hard time and work in it and putting a lot of thought and effort behind it, you're not going to get a lot of leads, and it's going to be very tough for you to do so. So I would say spending like a few days on your profile, it's just like writing, right? You write the first draft, and it's never perfect. You have to go back and take a look. So just spending a few days on that. Okay, so yeah, next step, skills to use. So I think we kind of covered this, just kind of looking back and seeing what hard skills, what soft skills you might have. Less so soft skills, because that'll just show it through your work. Like, is Adam personable to work with? Is he a friendly guy? Is he organized? Is he timely? You can't really show that. That'll just come when you actually begin the contract. But what you can do, which a lot of people don't do, is something that I did when I first started. Was I literally went through the first 10 pages of Upwork on the top digital marketing freelancers. So I looked at LinkedIn freelancers, lead generation, B2B, all things that were in my skill set and niche. And I looked at what keywords they were putting. I looked at their summaries, and I wasn't necessarily copying them per se, but I housed all of that information in a ginormous spreadsheet. And then I pulled from that and made it my own. So doing that research beforehand, I think helped me a lot, because if these are the top freelancers and this is what they're putting, and you also have that in your profile, you're gonna essentially come up in the first page search results, right? So That's something that I did. Also, another thing I did was seek out what clients were searching for. So what keywords were clients searching for? I had no clue about freelancing before. I was from the full-time world, full-time professional corporate world. So I had no clue what other clients would hire other freelancers for. Where they hire. So on Upwork, you could. I'll show you a bit later.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
On Upwork,
you can
actually
findable.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
Oh,
it's
awesome.
very, very easily findable. Cool. So you can search for keywords like: are they searching for SEO, which a shit ton of people are searching for SEO. Are they searching for platform-specific things like you were saying before? Are they searching for like Google AdWords? Do they need a Twitter person? Do they need a Facebook person? So I would say within your industries and fields that you're interested in, find those keywords, find those skills, and do a lot of research on that to figure out A, what the client's looking for, and B, what other freelancers are marketing themselves as. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And also history and your history of your successful delivery, because I mean the testimonials. Okay, feedback, positive feedback.
Recommendations and testimonials.
Especially on Upwork, it's like a history of your work.
Exactly.
Because it's also an option to filter out those who have zero work done.
Yep, yeah. It's even an option to filter out people who have only worked a certain amount of hours.
Yes.
Which I found really annoying when I was first starting, because there was a lot of jobs that were like perfect for me. It was like LinkedIn campaign manager, which is literally what my title was at LinkedIn. But I couldn't apply because I needed a certain amount of hours.
Could you at least contact the person in that?
Yeah, you could message them, but they don't have to. Your application is going to be at the bottom, which is kind of annoying. But
you never know if people will look at it though. But yeah, I mean, for me, if I was hiring, people that I work with are not good remote workers. Some of the people I work with, they're very good at what they do, but that could be a factor in it. But yeah, as long as you can message them.
Kind of building your portfolio, because your portfolio will drive your success over there. But initially, to build that portfolio, I think that's the most thing.
Yep. Okay. Next step is selling yourself. So how do you sell yourself, right? Having confidence. You're being the expert, understanding what their unique needs are. I'm gonna get more into that a bit later, so I'm just gonna go into the next one. Gaining clients. How do you write an effective cover letter? Do you need to write a cover letter? Yes, I always.
On that platforms, cover letter?
Yeah, so it's not like your traditional cover letter where you're applying to a job. It's more so just a paragraph or two. About
overview of you.
It's more so a few sentence overview of what your skills are.
Okay.
And then
connections.
And making exactly. And then also if they give you a job description saying, hey, I'm looking for XYZ, tying that into your cover letter. So this is, with my experience, this is how I could help you, and this is what I suggest you do.
Okay, kind of introduction.
Introduction into the type of work that you're going to be performing for them. Okay. Fiverr is easier for a lot of quicker tasks. So tasks that could be done in a few days. So for instance, if you're a designer or if you're a company that needs a logo mocked up, a lot of people do that on Fiverr because they could just find people that could do it for quick and for cheap. So in my experience, Fiverr's less experienced, less monetary value, quicker tasks. Upwork is a little more savvy and a little longer in terms of they might want you to be on retainer if they like your work. They might want you to do a few hours per week type of deal. Also the main differences are that with Fiverr, it's the complete reverse of Upwork. On Fiverr, you actually create your own jobs. So for example, I would say, I'll help you with your LinkedIn advertising efforts, which is actually my gig title on Fiverr. People could then see that on the website on Fiverr, kind of like an ad, click into it and say, oh, this is what he offers. He has tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all with different prices. So that's how Fiverr works. Upwork is the complete opposite. With Upwork, you get a certain amount of, they're called connects. You get a certain amount of connects per month. And with those connects, you could apply to people's jobs. So people on Upwork
to buy connects then?
it comes free with Upwork has different account levels. I just have a free account. So with the free account, it comes with 60 connects per month. And it costs 2 connects to apply to each job. So essentially you're getting 30 jobs per month, 1 job a day.
Sure,
if you look at it that way.
No, cool.
So to summarize, with Upwork, the client posts an opportunity.
Correct.
And on Fiverr, the vendor,
You yourself, the freelancer, would
freelancer
post.
vendor posts the.
So not a bad idea to do both of those because
Right.
you can
Get
work
some
both
knowledge.
sides of the field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I do.
Because it's interesting to know because you could post your profile over different platforms, but with different history, with different skills. So it's worth to know,
Yeah.
would be the same client be able to monitor you, to watch your skills on a few platforms? If you, for example, use different CVs, resume,
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
approaches.
That's
So-
A/B test.
Yeah, seriously. A really good example of that is, so like me, like as a freelance professional, I'm a marketing professional, right? So my Upwork profile just says marketing professional, okay? This is just like a hypothetical. Versus Fiverr, I could actually list my skills as different gigs. Let's say like I had like some marketing skills are SEO, for example, lead generation, pay-per-click advertising. So I can list those 3 skills folded in my Upwork profile. But on Fiverr, one of the benefits is I could list those 3 skills as 3 different jobs.
Oh,
So a client could potentially be buying not just 1 gig, not just 2. They could be buying all 3,
Different
and I could
profiles.
essentially be upselling myself. Like, hey, I just did this 1 gig for you of you purchased that marketing strategy from me. Now let's take it a step further, which I actually did reach out to him and no response. He ghosted me. So we'll see if he actually does.
Execute on it.
Yeah, to actually execute on it. So
how
yeah,
many profiles do you have on Upwork? Just one?
you're only allowed just 1.
Because it's interesting to experiment, to try a few different marketing strategies.
Yeah,
So,
of course. Yeah, that's essentially what I'm doing right now with Upwork versus Fiverr.
yeah.
So the next step is just building your profile and defining your niche. So we kind of went over this before, but I suggest not going broad at first. Right now, I'm less so a starter and more so an intermediate kind of level. So for me, it's beneficial for me to put more platforms, more skills that I have, more everything. But when you're first starting off, defining that niche is going to be super important because then you could get gigs quicker, get gigs over competitors. Also just asking yourself, do you have intimate knowledge in a certain industry or a certain field? Can you, if you've been
That's the most they interested in.
yeah, exactly. Like
To speak the same language.
Exactly. If someone's looking for something very, very specific and you could provide those services because you have that expertise, and that professional skill set, then that's super valuable to them because a lot of clients, they don't want to waste their time with someone who might be a jack of all trades. They want to have someone that knows exactly what they're doing, can spend little amount of time on it and still get them and prove results. That's the main 3 things a client's looking for. So if you can check those 3 boxes, you're in.
So marketing in food industry and clothing industry, retail, it's quite they interested to hire someone who did the same job for their competitor.
Yeah, exactly. When I was starting out, I was not allowed to do manual time with like my first 2 clients for good reason because I literally had no history, right? Like they knew my professional background and they knew like my personality like from the interview, but just on paper, I literally had no feedback. So for them, it was like, well, we're kind of taking a risk, right? Because like we could hire someone who already has 5 clients in the books. We're hiring Adam who has none right now. So let's start the clock and then later on we could allow him to do manual time and add that in. Ways I'm a big believer in teaching and knowledge is power, because if you're teaching someone how to do something, that's enhancing their skill set.
I agree.
I agree.
So would you say your job and skill set and your function was in a project management type of role within finance?
Probably.
Okay.
I was like the middleman between getting the money for my departments, especially going out and funding $300 million worth of
Right.
projects, managing that throughout, and that they don't like just send it
Okay.
in one day.
So one thing that I would put for you that I would accentuate, I guess, is, hey, like I've had this experience managing X amount of dollars in this project.
Especially the money.
I was even if your job title wasn't project manager,
Yeah.
I was a project manager for this whole project. Like,
Yeah.
did you pilot it or were you a part of it or?
Part of it.
So you could fib a little bit and
Yeah.
say, I've co-piloted this
Yeah.
huge project, and just to get started, just so it hits you off in the right track.
So essentially, kind of go back to what you were saying with like looking at how other people are posting their roles and kind of leveraging that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, not necessarily like copy and pasting,
Yeah, yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
but like really like what helped me a lot was literally just copy and pasting in a huge Word doc.
Yeah, and just
And
kind
then really just taking what I liked. I was like, ooh, I really like the way this person said that. I really like, what this other person was saying.
of, okay.
And really leveraging that. I think that's going to be like crucial, especially for you, since
Okay.
I really don't have a lot of insight into finance. I have seen a lot of finance gigs out there, so maybe we should talk offline about like how to like fund the finance stuff.
Are you looking for freelance positions that were similar to your old role, or
I
totally different?
I think both.
Okay.
But I don't want to get into accounting, which is a lot of what I've seen is like QuickBooks, and I
Yeah.
don't have an accounting major.
Yeah.
Like that's not my, but I feel like a lot of it is short term, just help me get my QuickBooks shit done. Like,
Right.
I don't want to do that. I'd
Right.
rather like drink and like sleep,
Right.
to be honest.
I feel like maybe Upwork and Fiverr probably won't be as good of platforms for you as LinkedIn, maybe.
Yeah, no, I saw you right. I kind of wrote in my notes, maybe LinkedIn might be more
Yeah.
professionally.
Look at your old company's competitors.
Okay.
You'll probably
Yeah.
find some roles that are appropriate for you because your old company.
But with NBC, it's tough because it's an enterprise company. It's not a smaller company.
Yeah.
So they're likely not going to hire like too many. Like I know at least with. I'm not saying it's wrong to do that.
Mhm.
I think it's a really good idea as well. But I think with larger companies, they have these teams that they already work with. Like LinkedIn, for example, they didn't hire freelance contractors like this. They had a specific company that made the hires for for those.
Yeah, and I'm also curious, like, if I weren't to do finance, if someone were to just hop into freelancing, like, what does that look like? Like, I mean, not for this conversation, but maybe offline. Like, if someone were like just sick and tired of their job and like I don't want to do anything, like, how does somebody start? Like, what does that look like?
What are some of your hobbies? Do you do like
I don't know. I could
do you like photography? Do you? Yeah, I mean,
I'm just curious.
yeah,
That's
that could be another conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
week 3 in Belgrade might shed some light on that if you do that workshop.
I do want to. There were no more seats. There were no more seats.
Plug. Casual plug.
No more seats the first time, so I got kicked out of that.
Yeah.
No, you're good. That's why we're doing a full one.
They loved
How to sell yourself, what rate to charge. So being confident in your abilities. So, like Lillian, for you, for example, you've managed X amount of dollars in a project. You've project managed. You have that finance experience at a large company like NBC. Use NBC as the platform if you're interested in doing that. That's a big name. For me, I use LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's fine to do that. Like, you don't
Don't
always
be
want to
afraid
be.
to.
Yeah, don't be
Online.
afraid. Yeah, don't be afraid. Like in the beginning, I probably sounded really annoying because I was like did this, like did that, but like I had to because I literally had nothing else to go on. Like that was my niche. So don't be afraid to use that and accentuate that within your profile. I think this is really, really, really important. When you're actually like in an interview with them, remember that you're the expert and that they're seeking your guidance. It's not the other way around. They're not the expert, most likely, in this. They're hiring you for that specific reason because you know exactly how to do it, or you've done it in the past. Maybe not for their product or service or business, but you've done it in the past. And they're specifically looking to hire someone to fill that gap.
Right.
Listening to the client's needs. So a lot of when I was like first starting, I wasn't necessarily listening, and I was more so selling myself like a job interview. I was more so saying like, I used to work at LinkedIn for 2 years. A lot of I stuff, right? Now I talk a lot less when I'm interviewing for a new role. I like to hear what the client's needs are, what their issues are, how I could fill the gap for them. I really like to understand what those are, and then I can go in and say, well, in my past experience, this is what I've helped a certain client with, and even if I don't have that experience, then I can launch into my past experiences and say, well, I think because of this, I could definitely help you with this thing that you're looking to do.
Let you